So here at Alex's Live Beer Reviews, we've moved on from our previous time of me sitting here listening to the music while waiting for you to all join in. I now can't hear the music, and well, that's not relevant to you. That's relevant to today's beer, Low Funk. Because it's music-based, and that's the segue I'm going with. So today we've got Low Punk Sour Ale from Mobcraft Brewers out of Wisconsin. All right. So this is a sour ale. So sour ales are basically when you make a beer sour, what you're doing is you are intentionally and purposefully and directively spoiling the beer. Let me explain. When you're brewing beer, one of the biggest concerns that you have to focus on is you have to make sure that everything is sanitized. It's much more important with beer than, well, I can't speak to hard liquors, but I can speak to wine. Wine's a lot more hardy, but beer, very specifically the yeast you use in beer, they're much more susceptible to spoiling. So if you're not sanitizing everything, what can happen is your beer gets soured or spoiled. Now, normally this is a bad thing, but beer brewers, being what beer brewers are, they figured, hey, what if I could do this and make it a good thing? And then they did. So sour beers basically add a tart sour taste to an existing ale, but they do it purposefully. They sour it in a purposeful way that's going to work with the flavors that are already in the beer. So today's example is Low Funk, and I'm guessing there's some sort of joke about pH that I'm not aware of because of the pH, capital H, you can see there. Yeah, so. But let's read us some description here. Sour ale conditioned with lactobacillus using a Solera blending method. Refreshingly tart with hints of lemon and Belgian esters. Allow your taste buds to boogie down with the pHunky pleasure. It also says wild and sour program for the love of beer. Drink out of a glass. Keep chilled. Love the planet. Please recycle. No kettles were soured during the making of this beer. And apparently, Mobcraft, brewers of this beer, they say, at Mobcraft, we turn ideas into beer. Submit your idea. Vote on what's next. Join the mob. Mobcraft.beer. Member of the Wisconsin Brewing Guild. Brewed and canned by Mobcraft Beer, Milwaukee, Wisconsin, USA. All right. So what award did they win? The GABF 2019 Gold American Style Sour Ale. All right. Well, let's get right into it. Being an ale, it's probably going to be a bit of a deeper color. Okay, well, you know what? Can't be right every time. And, for some of us, can't be right anytime. Okay, let's see. So, looks like we're going to be fairly fruity. You can see it's very cloudy, so that's standard fare for a sour. Going to be probably pretty light. You can see there's like 0 for head retention there. There's not a ton of carbonation in this. It smells like a sour, so a sour is going to smell, well, sour, like a sour candy. Yeah, yeah, it has that a little bit of an astringency to it as well. I wish I could describe what astringency was, but I just know it when I smell it. What's the percentage on this guy? 4.2, which is about what I expected with the level of head retention and how it's looking there. So, but let's go right in and see how it is. So there's not wow, that is it's either very minorly soured or this no kettles were soured during the making of this beer seriously means they didn't actually sour it. They used a different method other than spoiling the beer, which would be interesting because it doesn't have that same pucker that I get a lot of out of a lot of the sours. Yeah, that's interesting because with sours, I'm usually used to sort of an end tail. Let me give you guys a close up of this guy. I'm usually used to a tail end sort of real strong pucker right at the end, which is a big strong flavor punch. It's one of the reasons I like them, but it's not in this one. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. A lot of the sour is front loaded, so I'm not getting as much through the whole thing. It's kind of early on. There is that tartness and that lemon is definitely in there, and that's quite pleasing. I'm really wavering on this one. I'm going to be honest, really wavering on this because on one end, I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying how light and easy it is. It has a nice sort of smooth flavor to it. It's quite enjoyable, but it doesn't have a punch. It's not it's not kicking things into gear for me, and I'm just not sure. Oh, on the fence here with this one. I think I'm gonna have to go with an endorsement, and I say that because um, it doesn't have a punch. It's not wowing me. It's not something I'm gonna love. But if someone were to ask me, should I try it, I would say yes. I would absolutely say yes. I think it's worth trying. Um, it's not something where it's a sour, so it's going to overwhelm you. So this could be a great sort of entry level sour beer to get a category for this kind of beer without getting overwhelmed by the first one you have. I actually have a target in mind for this if I can get another can of this, but I digress. Yeah, and that the lemon and the tartness, it's just it all works together really well. I want it to be more than it is. I want more punch out of it. I want more flavor out of it. And that might just be me, but I can't say that I wouldn't recommend it. I would, if someone was asking me about it, I'd say, hey, yes, try it, 100% go try it. So yeah, this one's going to earn itself a spot on the endorsement the endorsement side here. As we can see, that side is growing. It's been an interesting journey because a lot of these ones were earlier ones that just didn't do it for me, and it's just been, the ratio was a little bit of threat early on, but it's just been good for the later days, which is, I don't know if that's intentional. I feel like they would have chosen only good beers, so I don't know how you divvy that up, but kudos to them for that. But I did promise at least one person in the world I know a chaser, and that is a second beer. I had said that yesterday in yesterday's. I knew I had said that at some point. Now we're just going to go under our Christmas tree here. Oh, there was a beer hiding. There was a beer hiding. So we have from Torque Brewing the Draftsman Blonde Ale. So I'll throw that up on the zoom in camera there. So the Draftsman Blonde Ale. So I actually got this from an architect that was working with our church on some changes that we're going to be making. And yeah, they just dropped this off as Christmas gift. So I was lucky enough to get some here. And I just so also happen to have another glass. Last thing I'd want to do is mix two beers. So to be honest, I'm expecting this to be a pretty stock kind of blonde ale. I love Torque. They are hands down my favorite brewery in the city. Kilter, you're fighting, but I haven't had enough yet. But you're close. But yeah, no, Torque definitely favorite brewery in the city. And now specialty beers like this. Here we go. 'Tis the season to chill. Whether we're talking about your blonde ale or simply taking it easy with friends and loved ones, the team at ARCCADD Architecture Incorporated, I guess that's the company we're working with, hopes you will enjoy this limited edition winter beer and reminds you to never draft while drafting. But seriously, please enjoy responsibly. From ARCCADD Architecture, or ArcCAD, I guess is how you would say that. That's a really long acronym. Like, it's all in caps. That's why I'm spelling it out. So I'm assuming it's an acronym for... Oh, lots of words. Okay, anyways. Made by Torque. I'm excited. Let's see. Now, whether this is... I'm I should be, and I'm not familiar enough with their sort of stock blonde to know if it's just that or if this is actually something different. I should be, but... As you can see, a little bit clearer. We're getting, so just for comparison, you can see something cloudy, something clear, right? So you can see the differences between that, right? So this is a darker color, and you could get a beer that was this dark color, but cloudy like this. But it being clear, that's sort of where you get that sort of the crisp taste. We're probably not going to have much hops in here, just with the clearer color. Not much going on besides just sort of your basic beer taste with the blonde ale. Whereas when you get cloudy, you can usually get a little bit more going on there. So I'm gonna leave that guy over there. Bring this guy back. All right. So and our chaser. Let's go. The Draftsman. Please draft responsibly. From Torque. That's nice. Definitely not their regular blonde. I know the regular blonde, I think, is a little hoppier than this. So this is, in fact, a special brew. It's really malty, actually. Um, yeah, it's malty, it's caramel, just barely some hops in there. Again, background hops, right? It's a term I've been using a lot lately, but and that probably comes from uh, my early years in beer was a lot of incredibly super hoppy beers, a lot of hops forward beers where they're kicking you in the face with hops, and now I'm sort of getting into more and trying more and being exposed to more beers where the hops are there, but they're not the star of the show, so they're background hops is kind of I guess a term I made up for it, but that's kind of it's there. I can taste them. I know they're there. They're not taking over the show. What I'm mostly getting out of this is the malt flavor with a special bent towards sort of caramel notes within the malts. Yeah, that's some big caramel. That's some malts. I mean, it's a solid beer. It's good solid beer. I could drink a bunch of these because they're just really tasty. It's not super exciting, but I mean, it's a blonde ale. You're not expecting a whole ton out of it. It's just sort of level across the board, but you know what? It's just good, solid. There's nothing terrible about it. There's nothing offensive, but there's a lot to like. It's yeah, it's pretty much just a tasty, malty, caramelly beer. I could buy a bunch of this. I could buy a bunch of this and drink a bunch of this, and that would make me happy. I would put it with these guys, but it's not a part of this experiment. It's just the chaser for today. So there you go. We got another winner. We've got a de facto winner. It's from Torque. I'm gonna love it. That's just how Torque works. I think they made one beer I didn't love. It was one beer. It was like, eh. It's way too florally, way too tasted like eating a pine tree. I don't know if you've ever eaten a pine tree. I haven't, but I've imagined it. But that's beside the point. All right. So that's today's beer review. 2 beers reviewed in 16 minutes. Look at that. It's almost like I'm getting better at this. Because speed is what matters. Anyways, that's the end for today. We've got today was the 19th, which means we've only got we've got 4 more to go. Jeez, we're almost done. It is nuts. All right, well, I will see you over the next 4 days. This was the last one to be done with the chaser. At some point, I may end up doing these at my parents' place again. Just as we get closer to the holidays, we'll see. A little bit of a different setup there, and that there is no setup there. But other than that, just remember, beer is good for you. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you tomorrow at 8. Now you can't hear me at all.